Hi guys, welcome to what should have been day 2, but it's ultimately day 1 because of my own personal nonsense. Anyway, of the 13 days of darkness, and what I mean by that is we are counting down to the end. This is the 13 days of the Undertaker's, some of his greatest moments. I mean, there's so many of his moments that are so legendary, right? That it's hard to narrow it down when I only had a couple weeks to really pick and choose, because as you all know, on November 22nd, they're showcasing his final farewell. That'll be on as part of Survivor Series coming up on the 22nd, and we'll be live streaming that. As far as my immediate reactions during the show, I won't be streaming the show itself because I'm not that much of a troublemaker. But anyway, that'll be at 2:45 my time on the 22nd, so stay tuned for that. We were supposed to do this yesterday. I'm not going to lie. I had a bad day yesterday. Just kind of it's one of those things. It happens, right? It just kind of is what it is, kids. But we'll be doing 2 matches today as a result of that, because I want to make sure I stay on task. In the coming 12 days, we will be having his Boiler Room Brawl versus Mankind, his title match with Bret Hart at SummerSlam, the notorious debut of Hal Nacelle at Bad Blood against Shawn Michaels, the very first Inferno match against his brother Kane, his return to the dark side against his brother Kane many years later, Hal Nacelle versus Randy Orton back in 2005, a tremendous match that we previously watched on Wrestlemania, and Greg and I did, but I want to watch it again because it's that damn good. I really want to give it my own unique singular take on it. His world title match against Kurt Angle back in 2006 at No Way Out, when he became the world champion for the first time the following year at WrestleMania against Batista, when he regained the title from Edge a year later. Of course, I was in the crowd for that along with my father, so that'll be an awesome thing for me to re-experience. Arguably the greatest match of all time, the following WrestleMania against Shawn Michaels again, and we're back with Triple H inside Hell in a Cell in 2012 on Friday the 20th, and then the day before the Survivor Series, the 21st, that Saturday, we'll be rewatching what appears to be his final match, the Boneyard match against AJ Styles. So that's coming up in the next few days, a couple weeks, whatever, however you want to phrase that term. But today, we've got a double header, as I mentioned, because of yesterday's lack of broadcast. But I'm going to get right into it. What you want to do is go to the Survivor Series 1990. Very, very simple. You want to scroll over to, it's on the WWE Network, of course, under WWE Pay-Per-View. You want to scroll over to 1990. If you're on the Roku, it's pretty simple. I haven't done it online in a very long time, I'm not going to lie, so I don't know what that scroll looks like, so you'll have to forgive my ignorance, as it were. But I do know on the Roku, it's very easy to scroll over to whatever tab you want. And in this case, the tab you want is the tab in which Sean Mooney is going to be interviewing the $1 Million Team prior to the match. Of course, there is no Undertaker because he's a mystery partner, as we know, if you guys are remembering that. But the tab is, like I said, it says, and I quote, $1 Million Team, hi, addresses the Dream Team. And that panel is at 23 minutes 52 seconds into the show. Although the tab itself pops up at 24:10 according to the Roku, the show starts, the thing starts 2052 as you enter the Roku. So I'm not sure why that is, but that's where I'm starting from, 2352 on the 1990 Survivor Series. So get yourself there, and we'll celebrate the Undertaker's arrival into WWE. Of course, many of you longtime geezers like myself remember that he was Mean Mark Callis over in WCW. He had actually just had a U.S. Championship match that summer against Lex Luger, who was, of course, the greatest U.S. champion in the company's history, longest reigning, to be sure. I would say Rick Rude's the greatest in my personal opinion. That's just me. Anyway, so he was still, doing fairly well, if you really think about it, but he was told flat out by Ole Anderson that he would never draw a dime. as a superstar in wrestling. So he said that he was out. He was going back to play pro basketball, and then got signed with Mr. McMahon and the WWF. And we're about to see his debut right now. Again, 23:52. Get yourself there, and I will start the show in 3, 2, 1, play. You see that Maniac Ultimate Warrior swinging around the world title. He had just become the sole survivor of his match, him, the Tornado, and the Legion of Doom against Demolition and Mr. Perfect. So he's going for the Ultimate Survival match, and here we go with Sean Mooney. I'm gonna try to have the thing in here so I don't get too quiet during this. Everybody picks on Coco. See, it's not just me. Oh, I love Teddy's laugh. Always have. Love it. You'll note on commentary here is Gorilla and the Hot Rod, Roddy Piper. Oh, here comes the dream, baby. Here comes the dream, baby. Oh, yes. That's right, Roddy. Here he comes. No polka dots, despite what Roddy just said. Look at the Hearts, man. Look at Neidhart and Brett. Scary that Dusty and Anvil are both gone, right? It's crazy. Roddy's gone, girl. I always do this when I watch shows back. Everybody's gone. It's just, oh, woe is me. I've been watching for 30 years. They're going to be gone eventually, right? The fans sure love the Dream Team and Hartford. There you go, brother. There you go. It just mentioned that Brett lost his brother Dean the day before, so or even early on, Hearts with the tragedy going into wrestling shows. It's crazy, right? Rhythm and Blues with Honka Honka Honky Love. Valentine and his damn black hair. Jimmy Hart looks exactly the same. I mention this every time. He looks exactly the same as he did 30 years ago. Such a waste, I think, to not have them be the World Tag Team Champions. My own personal opinion. I think there was money there with Hammer and Honky, but I don't think Hammer ever really dug the gimmick fully like he could have, right? That makes any sense? So, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Here comes the $1 Million Man, baby. Oh, yes. And Virgil. Let us not forget old Mikey Jones, shall we? Gotta love it. Let's delete that. Here we go. Jeez. Love the commentary with Undertaker here, Roddy. Too much. God, look at the intensity, the dark circles, the stone cold, no pun intended, stare rather. God, so this guy, even still 30 years later, it's crazy, right? Just what a sight, man. What an entrance. Too funny. Just the mystery behind the mystery guy. He's a mystery after all, right? So surreal seeing him, 30 years, 30 years ago on the 22nd. Let's not forget that. Oh, jeez, down goes the Hitman. Oh, jeez, Coco. Oh, lordy, lordy, lordy. Here we go. First ever. Boom. Tombstone. You heard him, Rod. Just like that, he's done. Good night. Crazy. Coco was done in no time. That's Coco Beware, right? What are you going to do? Brett's trying, man. He's hammering on him. Although he's not the hammer, he's the Hitman. He just tags a Valentine like, whatever, and too funny. Why not? Why not tag, Rod? Oh, the Dweem is in, baby. Here come Dutty. Yeah. Now, the NWA history here, right? Oh, jeez. Oh, man, they're lighting each other up like Christmas trees. Jesus. Oh, there's the bionic elbow. And there the hammer goes flying. Too funny. Oh, Dusty totally wants the $1 million man. He's caused him so much grief. You kidding me? Nice. And the Hearts were champions. People don't realize how long they were champions. Right? They reigned from SummerSlam until WrestleMania. So almost a full year as champions. And they only lost because of the Nasty Boys and that little runt, that notorious, devious Jimmy Hart. So, it took somebody knowing their weaknesses. Jimmy Hart, of course, with the Hart Foundation back in the day. So, there you go. Oh, jeez. Nice shoulder tackle, or block, I should say, because he didn't really tackle him. He blocked him. Honky got the reversal, though. It's funny. I was watching back all the footage, and Undertaker's first singles match on TV, on Superstars. Oh, a big slam by the anvil. Look out. Big one. Boom. 1, 2, and the Honky's gone just like that. There you go. And now DiBiase's in. Undertaker's first match against some Hammerneger. I couldn't tell you his name off the top of my head now. But Honky was on commentary. It was Vince. I think it was Roddy. I couldn't really hear, but I'm pretty sure it was Roddy against and Honky on the commentary. It was crazy. Here we go. Dream Team with DiBiase. Here we go. Dusty's a clubbering on him, baby. Yeah, I'm thinking so. This little tackle there by the anvil again. I think it's what it was. I kind of took my eye off the ball there, so I apologize for that. But yeah, there you go. I think what I'm going to do is, and I'm just freestyling this as I watch. I was going to watch the whole match until the end, but I think I'm going to bow out of this one when the Undertaker has his exit, and Virgil distracted the anvil, and DiBiase got him. That was a nice move there by the team of DiBiase and Virgil there. Very nicely done there. Brett's back in now against the $1 Million Man. Pretty sure it comes down to Brett and DiBiase after it's all said and done here. So, like I said, I think once the Undertaker gets removed from the match, and you'll see if you haven't seen this before, sorry for the spoiler. But yeah, I think I'm going to wait till he's out and then transition to the next match and kind of tell the story leading up to our next encounter, if you will, because it's a great story to tell. I thoroughly enjoy the whole thing. So, and that way I can, splice in stuff later as I go along here, because I'm pre-taping this. You're watching it live on Talk Wrestling at 6 Eastern, which I really appreciate you guys watching today. And again, coming up in the second hour of Talk Wrestling today, I'm going to be reviewing the Paul Bearer documentary that released yesterday, The Mortician, which I have mixed feelings about. I'm not going to lie. But I enjoyed hearing Percy's story again, and I'll definitely have to reflect on my own memories with Perce, and I'll probably have you guys come in here live and talk about Percy if you want to come on and talk, or comment below and talk. And feel free to leave comments now if you want about Paul Bearer, Percy Pringle, Bill Moody, however you refer to him, and I'll get him up there as I go today. Oh, what a stare by Undertaker! Just the cold, unfeeling, unknowing. He knows, but unfeeling, callous stare as they just beat the tar out of the Hitman here. The three of them: the Hammer, the $1 Million Man, and the Undertaker. So right now, the Dream Team is down to Brett, and it's down to Dusty on that side. The other team, of course, as I said, DiBiase, Valentine, and the Undertaker. So the $1 Million team is doing their thing. Anyway, again, you notice Brother Love came out with the Undertaker here. Brucey, appreciate it, baby. Brucey managed Undertaker for the first couple months. But he mentioned on the documentary last night, and again, I will touch on that in the second hour of Talk Wrestling. Bruce is also working in the office still full time. He's still doing his full time Bruce Pritchard stuff, so couldn't really 100% commit to the Undertaker off the top rope on Dusty. 1, 2, 3. There goes the Dream, baby. Brett is in trouble now. Anyway, Bruce couldn't commit to being on the road, the Undertaker, doing the house shows, doing the different things. So it was decided that he would go off the road. And I'll get to that later, actually in a few moments here. But speaking of Brucey, there's Brother Love putting the boots to the Dream. Giving him what for? I love it. I love it. And Bruce is just laying him in, man. Look at, oh, Dusty's up now. Oh, look out now. Now, here's my problem with this, and correct me if I'm wrong. The Undertaker's not the legal man in the ring right now. The Undertaker is not the legal man, yet the referee's going to come down here, not only get involved with the Undertaker, putting the boots to Dusty for attacking Brother Love, but they're going to cut the Undertaker out. They're going to disqualify him or whatever it is here. I want to hear that. There's the bell. That's bullshit. He wasn't a legal man. What kind of hot garbage is that? Oh, he's done, Rod. Okay, that's sweet, Roddy. Thanks. That should not. It shouldn't have been a count out. All right, that's why I'm not watching the rest of it. Anyway, so it's a bunch of horse crap. Anyway, so after this, the Undertaker would, move right along and get that undefeated streak going that he not the WrestleMania streak, of course. We'll talk about that as we go on through the week here. But his actual initial run, he was undefeated for a year, almost over a year, because he didn't lose officially until Texas, Tuesday in Texas, which is after the match we're going to see here. But he did not lose. He maybe counted DQ, but then he was not pinned in the ring for over a year, and it was a huge moment, and it was big time, brother. And he went on this streak, and as I mentioned, Brother Love, Bruce Pritchard decided that he couldn't fully commit to being the second for the Undertaker, and give the Undertaker the kind of attention he deserved. So here came the Brother Love show, and this little nugget of information. There you go. Check it out. So there you go. There's the story of Paul Bearer's debut, and from then on, we went, of course, to WrestleMania 7. The official streak, if you will, begins against the Superfly, Jimmy Snuka. SummerSlam. A few months later, he interrupts the wedding of the reception, I should say, of Randy Macho Man Savage and Miss Elizabeth, and after Saudi with Jake Snake Roberts and his battles with the Ultimate Warrior, which of course Warrior left for SummerSlam. We know that story. We've heard it many times. So we went on from here and went into this match, which is the following year at Survivor Series 1991. It is 1 hour, 7 minutes, 31 seconds. Let me go ahead and throw that up there so you guys can see where we're at on the timeline, the timestamp, if you will. As I discuss what's happening here, where I'm going to go right now, they're going to have Gorilla and Bobby at the announce table, if you will. And Gorilla's going to introduce the match, and we're going to watch the hype video, if you will, and then we'll get into the match. It's very it's a huge moment for the Undertaker. It's the biggest win of his career up to that point, and still probably top 5 in his whole career. I mean, 30 years, but you beat Hogan. Yeah, that's huge, especially in 1991. He beating Hogan was no small feat in the early 90s. So the fact that he did it, yeah, little shenanigans, of course, but he's a heel. What are you gonna do, right? So here we go. 1 hour, 7 minutes, 31 seconds. 3, 2, 1, play. The gravest challenge. And here comes the Nature Boy. It was so cool to see Ric Flair in WWE, in the WWF back then. He was going to go for the casket, and the Undertaker, he thought was in there, but Flair distracted him, man, and there's the Real World's title. There you go, baby. I love it. Oh, brother. Easy there, Rick. Relax. This is really a cool moment when you really think about it. I mean, you got Hogan and Flair in a stare down, in a face to face, man. I mean, people have been talking about this for the previous 7-8 years when you really think about it. So it's pretty cool scene here that Hogan and Flair are up in each other's face. It's a pretty big deal, it really is. So, and damn distortion. I hate they did that. I mean, I get why they had to do it, right? But just stupid. Stupid, Aaron would say. Oh, there goes the shirt. Here we go. Shit's on. It's on, brother. Watch this. It's a cool watch. Look at that. Isn't that awesome? From behind, man. I love it. Wham! Night-night. They're not trying to. They are choking life out of him, McMahon. You hear Savage saying, that's it, let's go. He and Roddy are at the announce table. Off they go to help. So funny. Roddy Piper and the Macho Man helping Hulk Hogan. Weird times. Weird times. Oh, jeez. Didn't even phase him. Oh, I tore the crucifix right off his neck, just like Andre back in the day. Oh, Jesus. That's a moment, man. Snapshot in time, man. Undertaker and Flair with Paul Bearer there, and Macho and Roddy with Hulk. Here he comes. Listen to the Joe cheering for the Undertaker. And the Think, baby, making the announcement. He's been around too long. I love Bobby. God darn it, I miss him. I really do. Such a freaking jewel. I definitely never saw Hulk winning, but it's the Undertaker, man. He's unstoppable. Listen to that pop. Jesus. I don't care if I'm 7 or 37. Goosey's, man. Every time he comes out. Every time. That Real American hits, it's over for me, man. Forget it. It's too much. I'm not even realizing I'm doing the show right now. I'm just Hulk Hogan's out there. I'm just doing my thing. Oh my God, Bobby, the real world's champion. Enough. I get it. I love the presentation of the Undertaker. He's just so stoic, so calm, so just no feeling, just not really angry, just intense. Intensity and just there. He's just there in the moment, man. And he said more than once, I mean, even in 91, it's a huge moment. You're battling, the immortal Hulk Hogan, the greatest champion in WWF history at that time, dare say still. He was a phenomenon then, he's a phenomenon now. And you look back 30 years later, as the Undertaker. I mean, this is his 30th anniversary. We've talked about that, on this show. It's a day of that. I'm wearing the King's hat. Today is Chris Jericho's 50th birthday, which floors me that Chris Jericho is 50 years old. I just can't even do that in my head, right? But he's been around for 30 years, and it's crazy. And I found out not too long ago that this is RVD's 30th year in the business. That just it's funny, I'm watching the Undertaker. I'm talking about the Undertaker's anniversary. I'm feeling my mortality creep up on me as I talk about stuff like this, because it's my favorites are getting older, and my friends are getting older, and the guys I watched either are retiring or dying, and Alex Trebek passed away over the weekend. It's just crazy how things just catch up to you. Things just sneak up on you, like it's often said that death sneaks up on people and just kind of comes out of nowhere. It's very, very true. But as of the Undertaker back then, he was very, very stealth, very methodical in his approach, and just stayed calm and did his damn thing. And he has been a consistent success over 30 years. And it's going to be very difficult for me as a fan. And I know you guys saw me kind of bow out when he laid his gear down in the ring 3 years ago at WrestleMania, and I said then that I was going to be done, and I truly felt that I was going to be done. I truly felt that was the end of my podcasting career, that I was going to be done. I wasn't going to be involved anymore, and we had a situation where I had to return, and it was a necessity that I come back. So I'm not upset that I have gone 3 more years, and I'm actually grateful that I did, because now I've got the network you guys are watching on right now, which again, I greatly appreciate everybody watching on the Jeff Meacham Network. And if you're watching on No DQ, you're watching the Greg Trey brand, again, I do thank you for that. However you're watching me or listening to me, it is much appreciated. If you're on Anchor, I love you more because you're paying me, at least right now. So, but again, I've been doing this a long damn time. And it's really funny because I was having a conversation with a trusted confidant last night as I was getting ready to come on and record these and do the live show here today. And you guys don't know this, but you guys you've never really met the Jeff Meacham that wasn't afflicted, I guess is a strong word, but affected definitely by the car accident that it caused the traumatic brain injury over 19 years ago now. So I often wonder if that Jeff Meacham hadn't been conked upside the head multiple times, would still be the guy wanting to host these shows, wanting to do these things, because that Jeff Meacham wanted to be an elementary school teacher. And my patience level's not so good after the wreck. So I don't know if I would have lasted very long in that profession had I chose to stick with my education in that field. And but I do enjoy this so much. I enjoy everything about this, profession, for lack of a better term, because a profession you have to earn money, and it's not a whole lot of money in this, let's be honest. But neither is teaching. So there you go. Right? There you go. Anyway, I'm going off in the weeds as I do. Anyway, so yeah, just looking back now, and this match here is 29 years old, and neither one of them are in the body shape that they were back then. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. Undertaker has been put through the ringer over 30 years, and surgeries aplenty. Hulk, with his notorious back problems, had to sue at one point because of how his back was treated, or improperly treated, I should say. So, and of course, Percy's no longer with us. I believe the referee is Earl Hebner. He's in here. Joey Morello was the referee on this show. He's no longer with us. Gorilla and Bobby, of course. It's again, I feel the mortality creeping up my spine every time I watch the old stuff, which is why it's difficult sometimes to watch this old footage. But I wanted to document the Undertaker. I want to document my memories and my history with Paul, which we'll get into in hour 2, as I mentioned. Full review of the documentary, because it is definitely worth a watch if you are a fan of the story of Undertaker and Paul Bearer and all of that. It's definitely worth it. I honestly still feel, and I'm probably alone or close to it in that respect, but that's fine. In that I felt they could have done more with the documentary. They could have really gone into his entire history, not just focus on pre-WWE and then WWE since. I mean, he had a good year or so in TNA in the early days of TNT. TNA. God, I'm so tired. TNA. So I, again, feel that they should have at least touched on that he left and came back. And of course, I'm very biased, but I would have liked to have seen him talk about his time working for Championship Wrestling Hollywood, and doing the work he did with Brian Cage and Eli Drake, and everybody that he worked with on minis. I mean, I know for a fact he had at least one match, maybe more, that he worked with Adam Pearce, who of course now is an agent with WWE, but is also a former NWA World Champion. And there's a lot of history there. And I think it's very frustrating to me that they chose to glaze over a good chunk of his career. I think it's very frustrating personally. And if I come off sounding bitter or whatever, that's fine. But there could have been more there, and there wasn't. So I will again talk about that more in hour 2. I realized I was doing that inadvertently, so sorry. Anyway, typical Hogan match. I mean, it's not much really to call, right? It's the heels wearing him down and beating him down, choking him out, just giving him what for. Paul Bear's getting involved as a manager at ringside, but I do like the whole, again, the presentation of the Undertaker. He's got the one hand on the throat, the other hand, he's kind of like half calling to the urn, half just, just kind of cocked there, just like waiting to see what's going to happen next. Paul Bearer being very, very active at ringside, being very emotionally invested in the match, and very expressive. That's what I was going for. Son of a bitch. Expressive in this match. Very, very, very well done by Mr. Pringle. And it's there again, calling out to the urn with the hand out, and the urn going up. Just great stuff. Simple little nuances in the presentation of the Undertaker that really just worked to perfection. Just no question about it. Just so well done by everybody involved. It's good shit, pal. So it's tremendous stuff. So I definitely look forward to it. Very, very cool. So look, he rolls his eyes. God, it's so creepy. It's even creepy back then because he's really rolling his eyes like way back. Ugh. And he looks semi-normal. He's got the red hair. He looks like a normal-ish, I guess, human being here, but it's still creepy. Just so morbid. Ugh. The Joe is coming alive for the Hulkster, baby. It's crazy, right? Yeah. But Bobby's right. He's fighting for his life here. He really is, because the Undertaker is no joke, man. He's always been a person of intensity, a person of just sheer strength, and just beat the dog out of people. It's just crazy. So what? God, Bobby's so bad. He's not human. He's creepy. What are you gonna do? There you go. Oh man! Oh, tombstone. And he pops right up. See that? I have a problem. I know I'm a Hulkamaniac, and I shouldn't dispute it, but I do. Very much so. Nah. Not okay. Oh, big punch. Look out. He will go down, man. Oh, just laying in the right hands, man. Good for him, Oh, he's down on the knee. Down on one knee. He's going to slam him. Oh, here comes an H. Woo! All going for the leg drop. Nope. Oh, Paul Bearer got him. Oh, here we go. Shenanigans. Oh, I just text Flair for no reason. Flair didn't do anything. And another leg up. Paul Bearer got him. Oh, right in the throat. Ooh. Oofka. Here we go. Oh, man. Dink. Good night. Wait a minute. 1, 2, 3. We got a new world champion. We got a new World Wrestling Federation champion. Woo! Doing the Bobby. Crazy, man. There it is, man. New champion. Hulkamania is dead. Long live the Undertaker. Really so. Bobby just screaming to the heavens. Hulkamania is dead. All right. Well, there it is. And what we're going to do right now is take a quick commercial break. Just a brief little ad for the rest of this coming week here on the Jeff Meacham Network. And when we come back, as it says right here, there you go, full review of the Mortician documentary, My Memories of Paul Bearer, and I may, just may, open up the Q&A bag, but we'll see how I feel. So what we'll do is, like I said, we'll take that quick break, and we'll come right back here on the Jeff Meacham Network, and we'll give it a talk about. We'll be right back. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to hour 2 of Talk Wrestling today. I usually do 2 hours anyway, but I figured, you know what the hell, I'll go ahead and make hour 1 different because I really wanted to get those matches watched. The first match I wanted to watch yesterday, I didn't get a chance to do it. Again, caught up in my own shit. It is what it is, as we say on our various networks and presentations. So there it was. I hope you enjoyed it. I really wanted to get the matches in the stream and kind of do it backwards like I did with Rewind the other day, but I didn't give myself enough time. It was kind of a crazy day, so I didn't give myself enough time to get her done, as it were. So that's on me. But I will get to it momentarily. I'll hopefully be able to do it for tomorrow's show and beyond. So for whatever reason, I don't see the logo I want, so we'll just go with this for today. So The Mortician, as I mentioned during the entire first hour of today's show, dropped yesterday on the WWE Network. The story of Paul Bearer, or what we were told was the full story of Paul Bearer. It wasn't. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. And it kind of upset me, to be honest with you, that it wasn't the whole story. Matter of fact, I need to go back over here. I know it's going to be purple for a second, so bear with me. But I wanted to have the thing up here. That way you can see what I'm talking about. There's the graphic I had up. So yeah, that was yesterday. I did enjoy the story. I enjoyed the documentary quite a bit. I enjoyed seeing the footage of Percy that they filmed in 2011. Very funny considering we, got to know him in 2011 and 12 and into 13. But as I mentioned during the watch along, I kind of felt incomplete for me because they didn't talk about his stuff, in between his WWE stints. They didn't talk about a lot of his behind the scenes stuff. They didn't have a lot of footage. It's funny. Adrian made a very good point in the chat room, and I'll go ahead and throw it up there again. Watch the Paul Bearer documentary. Nothing I already didn't know. Exactly. Still an enjoyable watch, but I knew all of that. And I knew that they would, omit the TNA thing. It was almost a given, even though they have access to the footage, I guess, somewhat in their capabilities. They didn't show the year he had with TNA, and they made no mention whatsoever of his time with NWA Hollywood, Championship Wrestling Hollywood, whatever you want to call it, which for me sucks. But what am I supposed to say? It's just one of those things. I enjoyed hearing the story of him coming up in the Gulf Coast area and talking about discovering wrestling and discovering the whole Mortician thing, and how he became fascinated with death pretty much because of the assassination of John Kennedy and of his grandfather's own passing in the same year. So I kind of get that. For those of you who don't remember my broadcast all those years ago, Percy died around the same time my grandmother passed, within 21, 22 days of each other. So I get the connection between losing a loved one at the same time and kind of having that experience. So it's screwed up. It's not fun, but he was able to turn that negative when he was 7 or 8 years old, hearing about the president's assassination and his own grandparent passing, into something very special. He became a licensed mortician, became a licensed Undertaker, which I think is funnier than hell. But, when, he talked about when Vince discovered it, he let this big old belly laugh out because he had the gimmick to walk to the ring with the Undertaker. It was very, very cool. So I did enjoy the documentary. I would probably give it 4 out of 5 earns if we're gonna do rankings or whatever. But I was definitely left wanting more out of it. And I've shared the story a million times over the last few days, but I'll go ahead and throw it up there again. I really wish I would have blown that picture up, made it look better, but that's okay. This is from June 17th of 2012. This was 6 days after the Kings had won the Stanley Cup for the very first time. The group of us went to the Championship Wrestling Hollywood tapings. I think it was still NWA Hollywood back then. I don't think they had the falling out with the NWA just yet. I think Tharp hadn't completely screwed up yet. So it was still NWA Hollywood. In any event, I'm not there for the big part of that picture, where Percy is letting Dylan hold the sacred urn at ringside. I was on my way to the studios. I don't remember if Jay was with me. We're going to bring him on momentarily. We'll talk about that. But I did find out that he had been allowed to hold the urn. I lost my shit. I was so excited that he'd got to hold the urn. And afterwards, we were in the green room there. You see the little inset there. They had a green room there at the studios for the friends and family of the talent or the office or whatever to kind of hang out. And we were very graciously allowed the opportunity to be in that room more often than not, thanks to Mr. Marquez and everybody with the company. So I got to see Percy once again. I'd seen him many times, met him many times over the years. Great person, a wonderful man. And the difference in the picture is pretty cool. He's, full Percy suit there at ringside with Dylan. He's backstage with us with what looks like a Hawaiian shirt that it was on steroids in the picture, but it was still very, very cute. And I'm wearing my King's hat, the hat I'm wearing today, as a matter of fact. So it was, you can see how clean that hat is 6 days after compared to 8 years later. But anyway, so that's my experience with Percy. I adore the man. We all miss him. With everybody that went to the Hollywood tapings back in the day. I didn't go to a taping after the memorial for him, which was in March of 2013, a few days after he passed. I was back behind the curtain. I don't have that picture. I didn't want to share that picture. I look terrible, to be honest with you. But Mr. Ricker, Eli Drake, was allowing me the opportunity to hold the urn for a picture that my roommate at the time took for me, which I was so grateful for. And I didn't go to a taping after that until the WWE Championship returned to the company back in 2017 when Billy bought the NWA. So it was a long time between seeing Hollywood tapings, and I'll go ahead and bring Jay on now because I want to make sure I get him on today. And did it work? Why didn't it work? There we go. Hi. Welcome, sir. Good to see you.
How's it going, man?
It's going well. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you.
Okay, wonderful. So you have more than one as far as or the picture you have with him is a different day than when I had the documented picture, but we both met him many times over our Hollywood attendees, if you will. So but this one's just priceless. It's just such a funny picture. He's making this stupid, and you can tell he's making the face because you got this goober smile. It's hysterical. I love it.
Yeah, that was back at the old venue in Hollywood before they moved around.
The Regent Showcase.
And I want to say that was Percy's first appearance.
It may have been.
Because I remember they announced that he was going to be there. They announced that he was going to be doing meet and greets and photo ops and everything. And I was like, dude, this may be the closest I ever get to The Undertaker.
For real.
I have to go to this show.
Yes.
And went and met him. And you want to talk about the consummate professional.
Right.
You know, Bill Moody, Percy Pringle, Paul Bearer, whatever you want to call him, was just the sweetest gentleman of a man.
Yeah.
And I just can't get over how down to earth a legend of his stature was.
Right, exactly.
You know, you hear about, and, you know, just to kind of piggyback a little bit on the whole Mortician thing, because when I watched it last night, I ended up going down the rabbit hole.
Uh-oh.
As tends to happen.
Uh-oh.
After watching the Mortician, I watched Meeting the Undertaker, followed by The Untold, Taker and Orton.
It's all good shit, man. It's great.
Good shit, brother.
Yeah.
But as Taker says in one of those documentaries, he talks about how, you know, the legends were always so intent on holding on to those spots, and he wanted to always get the next generation ready.
Yep. And
Percy was that same type of guy. Like, he could have been the manager that was just like, you know, be gone, little peon. I don't want anything to do with you.
Right.
But he always would welcome you with open arms and a hug and sit down and chop it up with you for whether he had 5 minutes or 2 hours.
Yeah.
He was, as long as you weren't disrespecting him.
Right.
He was willing to give you the time of day.
Absolutely. He is. I said it the other day. He's a jewel of a man. He was. Yeah. He was just, and in a profession where it's off. Oh well, you know, you don't need to be. It's like he didn't need to be. He didn't need to be. You know, he didn't need to be nice to us. You know, peons, for lack of a better term. You know, But he always was. He always had time for you and for me and for everybody that came to the shows with us. He always had open, almost like open mic night. Like, just what do you need to say? What do you want to talk about? Let's just sit here and schmooze for a while. He was so great about that, always.
Yeah.
Just again, it's I still have a hard time, oftentimes watching the old footage from Hollywood with him and Ricker, or him and Cage, or or even seeing pictures of him with Pierce or whatever. It's just so hard because I got into this on the performance side, the podcast side 18 years ago, the performance stuff, 13 years ago. I don't expect to meet, these people I grew up watching, as a wee lad. But Percy never came off as that to me. He always came off as just, I'm here doing my thing, you're here doing your thing, and if we, and if we come together and we hang out, that's great too.
Yeah,
it was just very simple, very chill.
He's one of the few guys, and they talked about it in the documentary about how he was always kind of Paul.
Yeah,
and I disagree with that. I disagree with that assessment because when the lights were on, he was Percy, he was Paul.
Right.
When the lights were off, he was Bill.
Yeah.
And at least when I was around him during those days in Championship Wrestling. Now, maybe in the E or in WCW, or it was a different story.
Right.
But from the experiences I had, when the lights and cameras were on, he was Percy. Yeah. When they were off, he was Bill.
Yeah, and I rewatched, and I don't know why I did this to myself, but I did. I rewatched Dave Marquez's address right after he passed, and Dave doesn't really show, like the emotional David side of him very often, and you tell he was choked up. Bill meant a lot to everybody at that company, but he was really, again, David said it during his address. Percy was one of those guys where, he was a big star, but you wouldn't know it. He came in, like you said, I talked about this with Sean many times. Eli Drake, sorry for the insider terms, kids. Sean always
Sean Ricker before he blew up.
Right, so. Exactly. So but Sean always, he and I always talked about the fact that, he wouldn't be Eli Drake and be so over that he could go anywhere and write his own ticket if it wasn't for the rub from Percy Pringle.
Yeah.
And and here, Brian Cage, FTW champion on AEW, working with Taz, which, Taz and I or whatever, but you got Brian Cage out there, you got Ricky Starks out there teaming with Brian Cage. Brian Cage was really put on the map in indie wrestling because of the association with Percy Pringle. And if you watch the documentaries about the Undertaker over the years, Percy was there from the beginning with Undertaker, as Texas Red and the Punisher back in the day. Stunning Steve Austin had Percy Pringle as a manager. Ravishing Rick Rude. So
that all was stuff that I didn't know. You were talking about how pretty much everything discussed in the documentary you already knew.
Right.
I still learned quite a bit of stuff watching that
Good.
documentary. So, I feel like it served its purpose. It looks like it was made for a DVD, back when WWE would put together, the bio DVDs and everything.
Right.
And just never got to release it.
Right.
And then Percy passed, and they didn't want to seem like they were putting it out at that point to make money on the situation.
Yes.
So they kind of just vaulted it, and this was the perfect opportunity to release it.
Well, what's funny, that the footage of him that they showed throughout the documentary of him sitting there with the big blue background. Right. You've seen that sprinkled in over the years. Like they did that in the documentary about Mick, the big one they finally did, the long, all the way balls deep documentary about Mick Foley the whole way through. He was in that a lot. I think on the most recent Steve Austin DVD, the big 4-disc one, the bottom line, whatever the hell it was called, that footage is all through that documentary because of again, Percy managing Steve back in the old Texas days. So, it's again, it was refreshing to see stuff I knew, but still cool to remember it because it's people go back and forth on my own friend circle about ravishing Rick Rude, but Percy saw something in him, and for better or for worse, if you are one of those that count the world class title as a world championship, Percy brought Rick Rude to his first world title. Yeah. So it's. Percy, before Bobby Heenan and Jimmy Hart called themselves the managers of champions, Percy was ringing them up left and right. So,
yeah.
Although Bobby was in AWA in the 70s too, so let's call a spade a spade. But anyway, is there anything you wanted to touch on? Because I got a full queue in the waiting room for me. So.
Oh, okay.
Please, say whatever you want to say. You have the floor until you don't want the floor no more.
Oh. I just was going to touch on one little thing, and that was the fact that we were just saying a minute ago about how Percy came in at a time when he didn't need to in championship wrestling, and just his presence kind of gave people the rub and helped put him over. And you going through that kind of made me stop and think, and I think the perfect comparison for the fans out there that maybe weren't around for championship wrestling is very much like Terry Funk in ECW.
Oh yeah. Yep. Yeah. I hear, Heyman tell the story on the Rise and Fall. Oh, let me work with him. I can do great things with him. It's like, that's what Percy did. That's what Terry did. That's what the old guard should do.
Yeah.
And I loved that Michael P.S. Hayes, baby. It's kind of a Percy. There's only one Michael Hayes, thank God. But just touched on the faces, because Percy's face, I mean, it's a little abnormal. I'm not gonna lie. And when you see stuff like this, it's a little skewed, but he's a little weird looking, but that's okay. We love him anyway.
Yeah.
But we definitely miss him, and I know that he's looking down on what's going to come on the 22nd, and just realize how big a part he was in that, and just
definitely,
yeah, it's going to suck. I'm not gonna lie, but it's.
I'm down for whatever you want to do. I mean, if you want to keep me on in a little box, if you want to get rid of me, like I'm here.
You are banished. No,
well, I just know you said you have a full queue, so I don't know if you want to go to like triple or 4 boxes, or if you just want to have one-on-one.
What I wanted to do is give everybody their own time to talk. And if I know it was going to be this many people in the queue, I would have done it sooner, but I didn't know. So I will now call on the man who came in next in line, and that was Mr. Big G. What up, Big G? Let me go ahead and give you the floor here. Let me just, there you go. Hi. So, first of all, have you had a chance to watch the documentary yet? What'd you think and your thoughts?
Yes, I watched it yesterday afternoon. I thought it was tremendous. They did a good job on it. There was a lot about Percy, Paul Bearer, William Moody I did not know about until the documentary. My first bit of Paul Bearer, like I said, I started watching wrestling in '99. So I think he was around with the corporate ministry back then, or if he was with the Kane. I couldn't remember, but
99 would have been the corporate ministry until Undertaker went off for injury in September.
Yep. Okay. So yeah, that was my first taste of Percy Pringle, Paul Bearer, and it was cool that that they kind of based him off of Gomez Adams a little bit.
Right.
I kind of saw that a little bit, but then I was like, okay, so it was, they based him off Gomez Adams, and I like how they came up with the name Paul Bearer, and it's just
leave it to Hawk, man. Leave it to Hawk.
Yeah, and it's just, oh man, tremendous guy inside outside the ring. I did not know around WrestleMania 20 time, when his wife was dealing with her breast cancer, that he had gained so much weight. Yeah. And it was just so sad to see. And, you got to give credit to WWE. They went shelled out money to help him, with the gastric bypass, and it's tremendous career. He served in the Vietnam War. Like you said, he was a mortician. He was an Undertaker, so it all fit. And I did not know that he had managed. What was it, Big Red back in the day?
Texas Red, yeah, like his first match in the Sportatorium. That's crazy,
so
right?
It was crazy. And then, if it wasn't for Paul Bearer and the Undertaker, there would have been no Kane.
Yeah.
And it's just tremendous to hear other people's perspectives about him and perspectives from his side when he managed everybody. Excuse me. And when he decided to leave to take care of his family, come back, then leave again after his second son was born.
Yep.
And is it his youngest son or his oldest son that looks exactly almost like him?
I think it's DJ, the youngest one.
Okay, because I mean, when they showed that footage from the Hall of Fame again, it's been a while since I had watched that Hall of Fame, and I was like, oh my god, he looks exactly like his father.
Frightening, right? Yeah.
I'm just like, like a younger version of his father. Like, if you put his father when he was younger and him, it's like a spitting image. It's like if they ever needed like Paul Bearer Jr. or something like that, they I don't know.
Paul Bearer cosplay. That's it. That's it. And then it was very, very cool to hear. And you touched on something there that you mentioned the gastric bypass. It is so unfortunate that a common side effect of that is the gallstones, because they had to pull him off the road and pull him off TV right after WrestleMania to have the gallstones taken care of. So there was no, like, they did the whole thing with the Dudleys and Paul Heyman, and that was it. They wrote him off. He was gone. I was like, he just came back.
Yeah, well, he said he couldn't walk or anything, or he couldn't get into the ring.
Well, no, see, that's the thing. He was still so out of it from, all the years of abuse and everything that he put on his body, post WWE the first time, that, the stairs weren't happening. It wasn't going to happen. And I know I've been there. I understand that. So I get it. But yeah, it's a bitch. It's a terrible thing to, let your weight get out of control. I'm there now. Like and it's funny. Michael Hayes, said, when you're at the house, doing jack shit, the way you can catch your release, it's exactly it. You're sitting home, I'm doing this 6 days a week, and not much else. So, I'm ballooning up again, but I'm working on it. So we'll see. But I'm glad that both of you saw and heard stuff you didn't know previously, because I know Jay especially. We were involved with Perce for a couple years. Toward the end there, that we got to know quite a bit, but there was still some stuff that neither one of you knew, which I find very reassuring that WWE managed to surprise you guys. That's very cool. I'm very glad of that. Is there anything else you wanted to touch on today before I bring in Statboy with a very special thing for Statboy I have for him, by the way? So we'll get there momentarily.
Yeah, well, just one more thing. I did enjoy his comeback back in 2010, 2011 when he came back.
That was so cool.
Towards the end of his career, and it was just, he lived out his career. He lived out his childhood dreams. Being a mortician, and being a sports entertainer and manager at the same time. So
very
cool. He will be missed. Like you said, come Survivor Series, he'll be looking down upon us. He'll be looking. Oh, and then the other thing real quick, with him, WrestleMania 29, I did not know that either, about how the whole Paul Bearer with the urn and CM Punk and all that stuff. I didn't know any of that happened. Like,
really?
Like, the story behind it, like Undertaker really didn't want to do it or something like that, or
I mean, at first he was hesitant, but like he said yesterday, it's like the more he thought about it, Perce would have dug every bit of it. He thought that was so funny, and that he was the central figure in a WrestleMania storyline from the Beyond. It was just funnier than shit. So he would have got a kick out of that, and I think Jay and I and Mikey will agree. Percy would have loved that. He would have been he would have dug every bit of that, ate that stuff up. So
he would.
What's really funny is I had intended to go as Paul Bearer one year for Halloween, just because I know I can pull it off with my figure. And since then, Trick or Treat Studios, who makes the great Michael Myers mask that we all just love and adore, made a phenomenal Paul Bearer mask, number one. Number two, I went on Amazon just on a whim the other day, and I swear to God, G, there was the spitting image of the urn they used from when he came back in 2010 until he left in 2013 and they did the angle with it. It's the exact urn. I'm like, okay, start saving the money because I'm getting it.
How much is it?
$90.
Not bad.
But at the same time, if I have an urn, when it's my time to go, I'm ready to go.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. There you go. See, I can see she's got you. All right. So let me go ahead. G, if you want to stay on, you're more than welcome to, but I will bring in our next guest because he was with us along for the ride for the Hollywood wrestling tapings. So Statboy Mike, come on in. What's up? Ooh, you look at you. You shaved. I'm so tickled you did that.
Well, I had to. I mean, it was...
Gotta work, right? Yeah.
Yeah, work's coming up in 10 days, so I figured I'd get a quick jump start on it, and I decided to clean up a little bit because I looked at myself and I'm like, ugh, this is disgusting. So, yeah, decided to clean up a bit.
Well, before you get to your thoughts on Mr. Pringle, I do have something to share with you and the rest of the world.
There it is. The unveiling.
That's right. All right, this is the second to last one. I found out in the my little app today that my Wrestling Rewind shirt's coming tomorrow, so I'll be ready for Thursday's show.
Good.
But for tomorrow's show,
there it is.
Come on, unveil, damn you! There it is. Woohoo!
Woo! Yeah, boy.
Statboy Sports Bar is open for business now, kids.
You were so worried that it wasn't going to come in time, that neither of the shirts were going to come in time for their shows.
And now they're both
going to go.
Well, I had this theory, and I put it in my journal last night because I was advised by a rather beautiful Canadian to start journaling after my shenanigans yesterday. I had this stupid thing in my head where if I have a perfect day, a really good day, the next day is going to be a shit show. And it's happened twice in the last month and a half. So, you know, I kind of lean toward the theory. But I woke up this morning. Everything was kosher, as my sister would say. And just kind of let go, let God type thing. And the Statboy shirt arrived early today, and I get the thing that they're going to be here for Rewind tomorrow because I had been told that the Statboy shirt wouldn't be here till tomorrow around 9 p.m., which of course we're on the air at 3, so that wouldn't work. And then Rewind would be here at Thursday at 9 o'clock when we're on the air at 3, so that wouldn't work. So everything good. Mikey, you were with us quite a bit at the NW Hollywood / Championship Wrestling Hollywood tapings over the roughly 2 years we were going to those shows. Religiously between the Regent Showcase and the Going to those studios. What are your memories of interacting with Bill Moody, Percy Pringle, Paul Bearer, whatever you want to call him?
Well, when I first heard he was going to be there, yes, I marked out. I mean, it was he was one of the first characters that I would watch on Superstars and Wrestling Challenge back in the early 90s when I first started watching. And, you know, they would do the whole body bag thing at the end of the match.
Yeah.
And of course, that was one of the reasons my mother hated me watching wrestling because, you know, she just didn't get it. She didn't think that she thought that it was real. She thought that this guy was really that morbid and that macabre, you know, beat your opponent down, put him in the body bag, stomp on him and carry him away. So, and when we got to meet him, I wanted to approach him, but I didn't want to act like the Uber Mark. I didn't want to do the oh my God, you're Paul Bearer. You know, I tried to keep it cool. I tried to stay polite and whatnot. And so we were there early. I do remember that. And somehow I don't remember if we were there before the show or we were during the show, but he was sitting in an upper part of the audience and he had a chocolate bar. a good old fashioned Hershey's chocolate bar. And so I went up to him and I said,
I see a rib
Mr.
coming.
Paul, yeah. Now that I found out that he was a ribster and a prankster, I was kind of thinking that there was going to be one. And I said, Mr. Paul Bearer, may I please sit next to you for a few minutes? He's like, sure, go ahead, sir, sit down, enjoy the show. And so he's like, are you a fan? I'm like, yes, I've been a fan of yours since the early '90s, and you and Taker were one of my first favorite characters, and all that. And I just want to say thank you for the business. He's like, well, thank you, that's nice. And he just keeps eating his chocolate.
Yeah, right.
And it was your standard Hershey bar.
Yeah.
And I think I'm trying to remember. I think there was a women's match going on.
Uh-oh.
And I said, the only thing I don't get now, Mr. Bearer, is
Mr. Bear. That's so cute.
Yeah, I don't think that Michelle can tame the Taker.
Whoops.
He put down the chocolate bar.
Oh shit.
And he gave me that grandfather look.
Oh no.
And he's like, you better watch what the next thing you say out of your mouth. Because Michelle is a very nice person.
Yes.
And Mark is very happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think I literally felt my soul just fall out of my body at that point. And I'm like, okay, don't keep it personal. Go back into wrestling mode. I'm like, you know what, Paul? You're right. And I kept quiet for like 2 minutes. We're watching the match. And I said, what's it like working in the funeral business?
Are you?
He's like, what is there to say about it? It's a normal job. Yeah. It's taking care of a person. I'm like, yeah, a person that's dead.
Oh, jeez, Mikey.
Like, yeah, at this point, I had gone beyond fist and mouth. I was putting my foot and my entire leg into my mouth. He's like, it's not
your balls halfway in your mouth at that point.
Yeah, really. He goes, it's not a scary business. It's not a morbid business. It's not a freaky business. It's just a business of making somebody that you have lost remembered.
Yeah.
I'm exactly. Like, well, there you go. That's all it is. And so I shook his hand. He finished his chocolate bar. We went up. I think towards the lobby because that's the way I had to go to get back to my seat.
Right.
And we tried to take a selfie, and I think I still have the picture, but it's very, very blurry. It was a very horrible picture.
Is it on your Facebook?
I think so. Okay, I really can't remember.
Keep going.
If it is, but it's a very blurred picture, and I seriously doubt that I even saved it. I would hope it's on my Facebook page. If not, it's not a big thing. And then the next time we saw him, we didn't get a chance to interact with him that much. It was manager mode, but he did almost break kayfabe over somebody with a tattoo. I remember there was a lady in the front row, and she was showing off her tattoos. Mm-hmm. And Percy's trying to be the heel manager, and he briefly breaks kayfabe and he pulls up his pant leg, and he shows this really cool ankle tattoo that he has. Mm. And in that one little moment, he may have broken kayfabe and all that. But the documentary was very good. I just finished watching it before I came into the studio.
Okay, cool. What do you think?
Yeah, very well put together. I would say that there's now 2 moments with the Undertaker where he gave you that "oh really" look. And of course, the first one being the whole thing with Kane and Taker and Vince, and Taker says to Vince, "It's like dealing with a handicap. One's physical, one's mental."
Right.
And Taker gives him this "oh really" look. Like, you better watch what you're going to say.
You better watch your ass.
Exactly.
I remember.
The next Taker moment was during the CM Punk stuff, where they had the look-alike, and Punk comes out, and if looks could kill, we wouldn't just lose CM Punk, we would lose Phil Brooks, because I mean, wow. Taker gave him "If Looks Could Kill," pun intended.
Right.
Mr.
Yes.
Brooks would be in a casket in a grave 6 feet deep.
Okay, I don't see the picture with Percy.
No.
I do see your picture with E.G. Daly, which is just adorable, for the record.
Oh, thank you.
Like
I say, it was a very blurry picture.
Right.
The phone quality was bad, or the camera snapped the picture. So
right.
It's one of those. It's one of those you have to chalk it up where you knew you took the picture, but you lost it somewhere. So
it is what it is. No worries.
Yeah, I have the memory of it, so it's not a big thing that I lost it.
Right. Yeah, it's funny. Hi, I'm talking. I'm on the air. I'm professional. Hi, how are you? I'm noticing pictures on your Facebook that actually I was at these same shows, and I can't find pictures that I was in. So it's so funny.
Well, I'll take a look later, and I can send it. Maybe I can find it before we go live tomorrow.
Well, no, it's not. It's not the fact that your pictures. Like for example, there's a picture of you with Dallas with the WWE Championship. I was at that show, and I know I took a picture with Dallas with the WWE title.
Oh yeah,
but I can't find the picture of me with Dallas save my ass ever anywhere. So
yeah, the Galaxy Theater incident. I do remember.
Good old Galaxy in Santa Ana. Yep,
yeah,
UP dub for life, brother.
I had to give Dallas the puppy dog eye look because he wanted his handler wanted money from me, and I kind of didn't have any, and I gave Dallas that look like, can we let this one slide? And Dallas is like, okay, we'll let this one go.
See, that's when it pays to be good old JM. I didn't have to worry about that. or as Jay would say, the great and powerful Jeff Meacham.
There you go.
That's not what I say. Come on now.
What do you say?
Jeff, mother.
Well, okay. Well, no. That's for Friday. I'll leave it the Friday only because that's the intro you give me. We're on no DQ for today, so I have to be good. And
I
you just
censored it.
I know you did, but yeah. But back in the day, whenever I pull off these random happenings that only I seem to pull off, the great and powerful Jeff Meacham strikes again.
Touche.
I got a great one. I don't know if I told the story on this show or any of my shows or not, but when we went to SmackDown, Aaron and I, last October when they had the Fox premiere, two of Jenna's bandmates were there after because they're friends with Dolph. Because Dolph's a huge Guns N' Roses fan, a huge Paradise Kitty fan. So the drummer Rachel and the guitarist April were coming like along the front, right there on Chickern Court there before you pass the Magic Johnson statue. They see me. Rachel gives me this ridiculous hug, and she's like statuesque blonde. She's just damn gorgeous, and she gives me this big enveloping hug. We talk for a few minutes. They walk away. I turn, and Christian's there going, "How the hell you do that?" Good old Jam. Just kept walking. Aaron was just like, damn it, Jeff. Sometimes it's good to be me, but there you go.
Yeah.
Again, I often talk about it, and I'm not gonna, try to mince words or whatever. I am eternally blessed for the life I've had the last 37 years. I mean, I've been on the planet for 37, but the last 18 of doing these podcasts, the last 13 of doing the being involved in some way or another as far as like actually out there on camera or whatever. But yeah, it's strange to me how we all have our stories about Percy, and we all, got to interact with him and someone. Big G, did you ever get to meet Percy at all?
Fortunately, no.
That's a shame. What have you been at one of the many recent Undertaker meet and greets that have charged you, a mortgage on your house and a small kidney?
No, not yet.
Okay. Just checking. I know Mikey was at the LAX one, but he didn't go see Undertaker because that was, $400 friggin' whatever the hell it was. So it's madness. But yeah, there's very few people on my quote unquote bucket list left, and I am fearful that Undertaker will be the one I don't check off because it's just so expensive. But
I cannot justify spending that much money to meet somebody for less than a minute.
Well, okay.
If I'm dropping a couple $100,
right,
I better get 5-10 minutes of your time. Like I better get to have a full-on conversation,
right?
Not click, here's your autograph next.
Yeah, cow call shit.
Get
Yeah.
my ass.
Yeah, what I tend to do, and Jay see me do this firsthand with Mickey the Mouse, is I'll go last. Like, I'll be in the room last, and I'll let everybody, do their schmoozing, do their little thing, and I'll make sure I get the time to take my time. Because if I'm last in line, either he's itching to get out and get on with his day, or he's just like, all right, the line's over. It's bullshit for a few minutes. So, stuff like that. So I'm hopeful either way. But again, the idea of throwing down, like, okay, when he did Frankenstein's and it was 200, I was actually going to do that. And I'll tell you why. Because the guy at Gemini told me flat out that I could get 2 people in the picture. I was like, okay, that's me and my dad. Boom, done. I don't need autographs. I don't need something signed. Pictures or forever. Autographs can be forged. Pictures are easy to forge too, but not as easy as autographs. So, and if you really take time to Photoshop yourself a picture of the Undertaker, you just got no life. Let's just throw it out there. So, I felt that, 200, for my dad's birthday, for his 65th, whatever, was justifiable. Then the LAX event came along, and it was 200 for each thing. And I'm like, no, sorry. Nope. I can't do that.
What year did we meet him?
Percy would have been between 2011 and 2013.
Okay.
So I know for a fact we were at his last show, February of 2013, because I remember talking about it with Dave when we went for St. Patrick's Day. We were talking about we were at the last show, and we didn't know it was the last show for him and all that. And so, but I don't think you were at that show though. I think that was just you, Jay, and our other roommate at the time that went to that show. Because I remember I had my King St. Patrick's Day hat on, and Jay took a picture of me in that, looking back, that ridiculous blue dress shirt I had on. But still got the urn, so I was happy. And it seems to me that blue looks better on me now than it did back then. But anyway, yeah, that was really cool. I didn't mention this during the talk about it. Sean Ricker cannot be praised enough for that, because we were literally behind the curtain. Like, wait, the urn was right there, sitting on a pedestal for Sean
I
to
found it.
grab and go. Oh, good. Facebook it to me and I'll throw it up. Actually Facebook it to my personal page. That way I can edit it if I need to edit it, as far as like make it YouTube friendly. So we were just back there shooting the shit with Sean. You, me, Jay, me, and our other roommate. We're just yakety yak, and I kind of gave the urn the look, and he goes, real quick, click, click, and then he literally took the urn out of your hand and went to the ring. I'm like, okay, and cut the promo of his life. God bless him. Which I can't find anywhere, by the way. I look everywhere. I can't find it. It's driving me nuts. But that was one of the hardest days I've ever had since I got involved performance side of doing this, was Percy's memorial show. That was hard. And like everybody in the studio was just so despondent. And I wasn't out at the arena side. I was actually watching in the green room, because I couldn't be out there amongst all the sadness. Being in the back was hard enough. So let's see. Come on, work up. Is it not working, Mikey? What's going on?
It's not letting me share it, but I did a search of my photo page, and apparently if you go photos in 2011, I posted it July 11th, 2011. It's me and him. So
July 20th, you said?
July 11th, 20. Oh, okay, here it comes. Okay, I got it. It finally decided to pop up.
Okay, I was gonna say, I can.
Which profile did you want?
The one of me and Dylan.
One of you and Dylan. All right, sending now.
Because today the work page is the birthday boy. So, which, like, holy shit, Chris Jericho's 50 years old, y'all. Like, what the hell?
Yeah,
That's bananas for me.
Like I said, the picture's blurry, but it's me and him.
I fixed it's okay. Chris Jericho's birthday today, Jay. He's 50 years old. I can't even fathom
the post and the picture from Borders.
Right? Yep. It's funny. A friend of mine commented in the RIP Borders. I'm like, yeah, we had one of those up here. Now it's a freaking gold gym.
I remember Borders. Yep.
Right? Terrible.
What is it now? Barnes and Noble is the only one left.
Well, yeah, as far as the main, like, mainstream bookstores, yeah, Barnes and Noble is the only one really left. But there are plenty. Let me emphasize. There are a ton of mom and pop bookshops out there that when the world resolves itself, go give them your patronage. Damn it, man. These mom and pop bookstores are the business.
Yeah.
I absolutely love these local shops, man.
That day at the Borders was the day I signed up for my Twitter account.
Yeah, I remember that too. I rode his ass the whole way on the bus to Torrance, man. I was just, come on, you got it. I was just up his ass. I felt so bad looking back.
And we had all day up there. There wasn't nothing but time.
Right.
We got there like when the store opened, and Jericho wasn't going to get there till like 7 o'clock. So we had like 9 hours.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that was the same thing I did with Hogan.
Yeah.
And I know I told a few of you this story as far as like in person or whatever, but I did promise the other day to tell the story on the day we did Rewind, because I was going to tell my story and then show the episode of Rewind, kind of like I did with the tapings just now. Didn't get a chance to do that, so I'll make it a very quick story, which is, for me, it's never easy. But I went to the Barnes and Noble that is down at the Grove here in Hollywood, right near the CBS studios, where they tape my show, The Young and the Restless. Don't mock me. Anyway, and
Piece of Our Lives is better.
You can, if it wasn't for Teresa, I would agree with you. Anyway, or I would get up your ass for that. Anyway, for the record, I do watch Days when I'm at Casa de Cuba. I do. I love that show for the most part. Anyway, but I was at Barnes and Noble. I got there when they opened at 9 a.m. on November 5th of 2009, and was told that the Hogan thing started at 7 p.m. I went, okay. So I spent the day in a bookstore, didn't leave except to go eat. And actually, I take it back. I ate there. I actually ate at the Barnes and Noble. So I spent a lot of money that day, but ended up buying everybody Christmas gifts. Like, I got Dylan's mom, I got her the entire Twilight series of books, all 4 of them, the same day for Christmas. I think I got like my mom a book, and I got my dad a book, and I Christmas that year was a book buying thing. So there you go. But yeah, then Hogan came at 7 o'clock, and I had front of the line because I paid for it at front of the line because I wanted to make sure I did that. And other than those with special physical needs or whatever, I was first. And I shook his hand. They took a picture of me shaking his hand, and they tried to usher me out, and I didn't leave. And I got to meet Jimmy. Hadn't seen Jimmy ever in person, which of course I've seen him about 600 times now, because Jimmy's everywhere. He's the Ryan Seacrest of WWE. No lie. And he looks the same age, which is ridiculous. Anyway, yeah. And then he told me, he suggested I hide behind a bookshelf to meet Hulk, and Hulk walked by the break room, and I darted out and said, "Please, brother, one picture." He took that big old paw out and said, "Where's your camera, brother?" And took the picture, and that was it. So Jericho's a little bit more organized because he tried the Borders folks tried to move us along, and Chris was like, "No." He said we were told we couldn't sit down, we couldn't take post pictures, none of that shit. And Chris immediately went, "Yeah, okay, look, we're gonna do it this way now." And like, we all got post pictures, we all got like, I think Jay and I had 25 things signed all together, roughly, give or take a few. Well, because we each had 2 books, so that was 4 things. So but that was a cool day. I enjoyed that day thoroughly. It was cool sharing stories of the Kings with Jericho. For those of you that aren't sports fans, Chris Jericho's dad was an original LA King, and I found out last week that not only was he an original King, that was his first season in the majors, the pros. Like, he had done like junior stuff, he'd done like minor league stuff. His first NHL season was as a King.
Nice. So
first 3 years he was a King. So, for all we knew, Jericho could end up living here. So, except that Jericho was born after he went back to New York, of course. So there you go. Mikey, here you go.
There we go.
Look at that
There it is.
mustache. Holy crap.
We're not talking about workers.
That's it.
The infamous caterpillar.
Oh my god.
The mustache that
Eat your
Joey
heart
Ryan
out, Freddie.
aspired to back then. Anyway.
Eat your heart out, Freddie Mercury.
Right?
A mustache ride.
Down. Oh, by the way, that show got so demonetized. Like every song, like I think we played 22 songs. There were 22 dings. I'm like, yeah, fuck it, whatever. Oh, there's the one. There's the one, Aaron. Sorry. There it is.
And then, of course, the shirt I'm wearing shows what video game series I was highly into at the time.
Zelda.
Yes,
Zelda.
Exactly. As it should be.
I got that for you for Christmas when you.
Yep, I think so.
That's awesome.
Because if anybody who knows, during the Casa years, I was the GameCube and Wii guy, and I was obsessed with Wind Waker, and eventually the first one that came out for the Wii, which was what was it? I think Wind Waker was GameCube, but whatever the first game for Wii was that was Zelda based, I think it was Twilight Princess. I was playing it, and they're like, "Man, you are
off slow but sure." Here they go. Here they go.
They're like, "You are so obsessed with that game." I'm like, "I have to beat this game."
Now, honestly, like, I think you could have been a good No DQ CW contestant if you'd have been around for the CW days, because that would have been fun for you to play. So, but see, you can see where each of our mindsets are at different times during this, right? Mikey's wearing his Zelda shirt, because that's what he's into. Jay, of course, being the professional, the consummate professional, is wearing his Mach 1 shirt because he's trying to get the company over, damn it. He knows what's up.
Much love to John Ian. May he rest.
God, seriously, losing John Ian has sucked. Oh, God.
So, I mean, yeah, that was like my promotion of choice at the time.
Hell
I don't think
dude.
it started going to Battleground yet.
No, not yet. We
Gorilla was like way in the rear view.
Yeah.
So Mach 1, that was like the big thing at the time. We were going every Friday night.
Every Friday, man. Yeah, every Friday without fail. Matter of fact, that was I'm pretty sure. I'm trying to remember. That may have been the first time I saw the title defended in person, because I don't think I'd seen it at the showcase yet. I may have, though. I don't remember. But yeah, he defended against TJ, which was awesome because TJ's our boy. Me, on the other hand, during my merging with Percy, I am completely King's out, man. LA Kings Championship hat, Kings of Long Beach shirt, longbeachclothingcompany.com, by the way. So yeah, I was in business mode, but very much in fanboy mode because because I think that was that was a period where, unless I was showering or sleeping, the hat was on my head, which why it looked like this now. So
pretty much.
I mean, if you look at it then, it's all pristine, all shiny, all nice looking. And
isn't Dylan wearing an Angel t-shirt?
Yeah, Dylan is wearing Angel. What was Angel's last name? God help me.
Atreyu, something like that.
But as far as like on the show, I forget. But yeah, that was like one of the few wrestling shirts that Dylan actually has, and it was like for a small adult, so the shirt still fits it, for Christ's sakes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's awesome. I love it. But yeah, you can definitely see where our mindsets were when we all met Percy at different times.
From Dylan, he'll never.
Dylan, Mikey, your video is frozen and your sound is muffled.
Hold the urn.
Yes, well, yeah. There you go. There you go. That's it. Yeah, that is the greatest. That is the greatest story I wasn't officially a part of, because I walk in the studio doors, like I walk in the green room door in the back, and I forget if it was you, Mike, or Jay. One of you came up like, "Dude, you won't believe what just happened." I'm like, what? And you guys told me. I was like, I was screaming. I was so mad I missed it. And then when he passed, I was really pissed because I hadn't seen that yet. And by the grace of God and the will of Marquez, he put that collage up, the little montage up, and there it was. I went, oh, screen cap. Yeah. It's been edited a little bit over time because somebody doesn't want to be in the picture anymore, and I get that, but, yeah, it was a very cool moment, and I wish that Dylan had more memories with Percy because my dad, of course, watched him as Paul Bearer, but we figure my dad was 34 by the time he debuted, or 35 almost. So, there wasn't like an emotional attachment.
Yeah.
I of course love the Undertaker, Paul Bearer characters. I love everything about it, but I also got to meet him, which is awesome. And it's funny you mentioned John, and I didn't even think about the John Ian thing until you mentioned him, because you're wearing the Mach 1 shirt, and he was as big a part of how awesome those tapings were as anybody. Johnny and Percy and everybody involved. And I get this unnecessary, like, not even deserved little swell of pride every time I see Adam on TV now, because like, that's our guy, man. That's our champion. Like, he's doing his thing now. He's an executive with the company. I just think it's too cool for school. But that was as much as PWG was our indie baptism. NW Hollywood and Champions from Hollywood was our indie growth spurt, I guess is the best way I can put it, compared to a baptism with PWG, because when we all went to PWG, we were all, in our 20s ish, I think, at some point, just, like young and stupid, and, just like gaga over everything. By the time we got to Hollywood, we'd all been doing the podcast, or we'd all been fans of the podcasting or something, where we all appreciated the inner workings more, if that makes any sense. And I think that a large reason for that is because we were allowed redonkulous access.
Yeah.
There's a great interview.
Santino's.
What's that?
I said originally by Santino's.
Yep.
And John with Mach 1.
Yep.
Basically gave us the world.
Yeah, for real.
And then Brandon at Battleground. Yeah,
we were all, us three, very blessed to have the access we did at the time we did. And it's just so funny looking back now how much we were involved in all the things we were doing. And, it's crazy. But I look back now and I realize that I took a lot of it for granted. And I didn't really appreciate John like I should have, I don't feel. And I know people that know John will tell me I'm full of shit, and that's fine. And John himself is probably saying I'm full of shit, and that's fine. But I'll miss him terribly. I miss Percy to this day. I miss John to this day. But I think about this. I mean, the stuff you're allowed to do. I mean, we were allowed. I mean, they literally let me sit down in that green room and interview Heather Lynn for what, a half hour on your show, or what it was, half hour 45.
Something like that.
And a great cameo by Pierce at the end, getting a little, and right at the end there. That was so funny. Just this little shit like that. Just, again, you don't think about it when you're in the moment, because you're just trying to, as Brian Cage said, get your shit in, pal. But you look back 10 years, you look back 5 years, you go, that was really fun. That was really good stuff we were doing back then. So I enjoyed it. And I know Big G is kind of like sitting here. I'm not involved. I'm just sitting here on the camera. Doing my thing.
I love enjoying hearing you guys' stories. I mean, you get, between the three of you, you guys got like so much history with each other, and it's just cool to like listen to your guys' stories. And sometimes I fanboy out and stuff like that.
I get all blushy over here.
Well, I owe a lot of my like of wrestling, the whole discovery, to Stat Boy.
Yes.
And then I owe pretty much a good chunk of my success as a podcaster to Jeff.
Yeah.
Because he let me ride those coattails there when I first launched the channel.
Fuck. Oh, there's two. Sorry, Ref. My bad. Sorry.
Oh, well. Yeah, if it wasn't for me watching Talk Wrestling and all that stuff for the past 11 odd years and following No DQ, and I don't think I would ever done any of this stuff,
Yeah.
So.
If you hear a loud boom, it's my ball swelling. Sorry. Sorry about that. Jesus. You guys are all just up my Jesus, I guess. Yeah, it's, again, we did 18 years in October. I still sit here, I just go, like, I was barely 18. I was barely 19 years old. Like, Jesus.
And then whatever stroke that I had in the industry, keyword had, I definitely owe all of that to Joey Chaos.
Yeah.
for allowing us to take over Santino's and do like a whole week feature on them.
Yep.
When we were first starting the channel.
Yep.
To John Ian.
Yeah.
Like I said, he handed us Mach 1 on a silver platter.
Yeah.
Man, the day that I knew that I was down with John Ian, not that I didn't already suspect it, that we were cool, but the day that I really knew how much I meant to John Ian was the day that he hit me up. I had been thinking about going to one of the Gorilla shows. It had been a while since I had gone.
Right.
He hit me up. He was like, "Are you going to the show?" And I was like, "I don't have a way there, dude. Like, there's no transportation for me." Right. He's like, "What's your address?"
Wow.
And he came, picked me up, took me up there.
Yeah.
And then I think you were still staying at your parents' at the time.
Yeah, I was.
You and Jade caught a ride back home with me.
Yeah.
On the way back from John.
Yep. Right, we did.
He wanted to make sure I was there.
Yeah. Yeah, he's.
And then
it's funny you mentioned. Yeah, it's funny you mentioned John. You know, given as far as a ride from Hollywood, there was one show, and I forget which show it was, but I know Dylan was with me. Just Dylan. It was just Dylan and me. It may have been just me. And I was stuck. I had no way to get back because I was already back up here, but I had moved back up here at that point. It was when Heather was still with whatever boyfriend. I forget his name. I couldn't tell you his name. And I feel bad because he was the one that gave me the ride eventually. But they were on their way back to Nevada. So they made it a point. They offered me a ride. They drove me all the way here and then literally stopped at a hotel down the street so they could rest and then went on the trip just to make sure I got home okay. It's that kind of stuff that I miss. The whole fraternity, you know, the whole the brotherhood, the bonding. I miss that so much, and I'm grateful for the No DQ Galaxy. You guys are watching for the people on my channel and the people on Greg's channel, the Greg Sherry brand. Everybody involved, and having you back, Jay, for Dads and for Renegade coming up at the soon, and you know Mikey on every day, every week with Stat Boy, which by the way. Cheap plug real quicker before we say goodnight. You know, that's tomorrow. Come on. Delay. You can do it. There it is. Hi. So, I'll
definitely be watching that. I want to hear Mikey's everything about tomorrow and last night.
Actually looking forward to tomorrow's show because the Cowboys didn't do as bad as I thought they were going to do. So, I'm not overly scared about doing the show tomorrow. It was close. It was very close.
Here's a teaser. It was close.
Close. So, but we'll get there. We will definitely get there. Again,
and we're getting ready for Jets and Patriots.
Right. Yeah. This Friday is trivia. Stagger Lee is back on the channel for the first time in forever. But he is back, and the trivia against Greg. Right. And then next Friday, Mr. Williams and I are going to make sure Disney throws us off the air. For sure. We're done. Right. We're going to get Disney off forever.
Copyright infringements.
The copyrights will be had. So that's this Friday. Wednesday, of course, I mentioned, you saw the commercial at the top of the first hour, or the second hour, rather. Rewind's going to be Bryan versus Lesnar from 2018 Survivor Series, which was a hell of a match, and I knew it would be. So that's all coming up the rest of this week. Thank you all for being here with me with our memories of Percy, Paul Bearer, and if you haven't watched the documentary yet, please go watch the documentary. I can't emphasize that enough. I know just ignore the time, but yeah, go check it out on the WWE Network. It has been the featured thing on the video for a while now, so go check it out and come back here tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern for Stat Boy Sports Bar, and in the hour before at 6 Eastern, 3 Pacific. Okay. Just kidding. Hi.
I was going to say, holy crap.
Sorry. And then in the hour before at 5 Eastern, 2 Pacific, I'm going to be doing my latest Day of Darkness because we'll be going into the Boiler Room.